check in. I'm going to collect your grade grades today, so I have already graded most of them. I'll put the grades in the grade book, grade your grade grades from yesterday, and then I'm going to hand back a bunch of papers today, so I'm just going to be walking around while you're working. But just to review, okay, the first thing you have is a proposal. All of you have a draft of a proposal done. Now, your draft of your proposal came back to you with a rubric, yes? And your rubric is what I want you to follow the front of. So, for your final proposal, somebody pull theirs out. So we have that rubric in front of us. Good, Donovan. What's the first thing that the rubric asks us?
Does the proposal include
Okay, so for the final proposal, you must have a heading which includes the words to, from, date, and subject. Okay, so for your final proposal, you must have a heading on your proposal. This is not a letter. This is not a dear Mr. So-and-so, dear Mrs. So-and-so. This is a proposal format. If you're struggling for that format, to look at bullets and numbered lists, go get a Writer's Ink book, page 318, 319. It's an example of a scientific experiment, okay? So if you're waiting for that, or if you're worried about that. What's the next thing in your proposal rubric you should have? And you can label them if you want. Statement of problem or statement of project, remember? Okay? In this section, this could be a heading, and then you need to do what? You need to develop the problem or why there's a benefit to the project. This is where you will need to include some of your resources, okay? When I say include your resources, just for clarification, what do I mean, Jesse? Yes, MLA format, but what do I mean when I say include your sources in your writing?
just have in parentheses?
No parentheses, quotation marks if you copy it directly, but exactly put that information in. So, and I'm not just saying at the end have these three places that you could go to get more information. I'm actually saying in William's essay, quote, or he says, quote, blah, 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 for shortened school day is really important for health and well-being of students, end quote. Because what quotations do from outside sources is support your what, Donovan? It starts with an O, and I wrote it on a lot of your papers. If you don't have any sources, this is only your opinion. Thanks, Emma. Okay. So you need to have that statement of problem project, and in there you need to do what we call cite sources, and you do that by using quotation marks of what other people are saying that support your information. Okay? So you don't just have an opinion. All right, what's the next thing on the rubric? Say, Donovan. Okay, the body. And what does the body consist of, Donovan?
Main points.
Okay. Main points, new plan, plan of action, materials needed if necessary, what the time frame looks like. All those things will go into that proposal. Could you use bullets and lists and numbers? Yes. Okay. Because why? What do we do in technical writing, Tiana, to make things the most easy to read? We use what we call clarity and conciseness. Less words, specific words. Oh, bless you. All right. Okay, so we have body, which has all those things in it. What comes next, Donovan? The conclusion. Okay. How is this going to support your project? What's going to be the outcome? What do you think the anticipated outcome is? If you're writing a science experiment project, for example, you would just have an expected outcome, because you don't really know until you do an experiment. And with a proposal, you don't really know the expected outcome. You can put what you think is the expected outcome. For you would be to actually add that program to the school by year X. Does that make sense? All right. So you need to have your final proposal. Your final proposal must be including all of those things. And if you want to use headings, that's okay with me. I'm all right with that. But also you need to, and this is important, you might want to write this down. I want you to use Times New Roman font size 12.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've told you this a few other times. And if you do use these as headings, you can bold them, and you can make them slightly larger, like a 14-point font, but no more than 2 size fonts on the page, all right? So that's your proposal. It must be typed, and it must have your sources in it. It must have your bibliography. That was a word from yesterday. What does bibliography mean? A list of books, or some people call it a works cited. This is like MLA, this is like APA, whatever. And then people will interchange them, so whatever. I don't care how you do it. You can call it works cited or bibliography. Your works cited and your bibliography and your proposal should all be double spaced. I think you guys have figured out how to double space your writing. You just can highlight everything. If in your Microsoft Word, go up to paragraph and choose the little line spacing thing, and it's 1.52, choose the 2. If you're in Google Docs, it's sort of similar. You just go to the top, there's a line spacing thing, you choose double. Everything, the whole bazonga.
Why?
Because that's easier to read on the old lady's poor eyes. And that's what colleges will want from you later on in life. Okay? Can you print it on double-sided paper? Yes, you can print it on that for now, because that saves us paper. Okay? So that's your final proposal. What do you have also to do in addition to your proposal? This is a part where some people were kind of confused yesterday. A presentation. I do not care what format you use for presentation, as I talked about that yesterday, or the other day. You could use a PowerPoint, you could use a Google Slides, you could use a Prezi, you could use that, what was that one that Show Me, Mrs. McCrossan had? You could use any presentation format you want, okay? What goes in your presentation? Specifics, highlights of your proposal. So you don't type your whole proposal back into slides. Yes, ma'am?
I'll ask after.
Okay, so you don't type every page of your proposal back into your slides. You're going to type specific highlights from your proposal into your presentation, because you're going to stand up here and tell all of us what you're proposing using your presentation device, okay? You're not going to read from it. I gave you a list of things to do and not to do, mostly to do on your presentation. And I have I will have a rubric. I have a rubric for the presentation. That's the actual peer review, and I will get that to you today. Okay? So you have some more ideas. Are there any questions?